Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes. No asexuals were harmed in the making of this broadcast.
And I put up a Suno song, so this would be a good one to get started with.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Okay. Go ahead, Mage. Let's hear your song.
Go time, showtime, get it on now. It's my cue now. The bright lights shining on the stage tonight. My heart is pounding with delight. I've wanted this all my life. Standing in the spotlight, I'm gonna make my dreams come true. Go tell showtime, get it on now. I'm a star now, can't hold back. My dreams are burning bright, and I won't stop till I'm at the top tonight. Tonight, take center stage. This is my dream come true.
Yeah, that was nice.
And that'd be on my channel, Mage's Media Musings, if you want to see it again. Or if it annoyed you.
That was an AI production, right?
My lyrics, AI sung it.
Okay. Can it produce somebody who's on stage singing it?
I could probably come up with some video stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, it could definitely be done.
I'd have to find stronger AIs than what I'm using. You'd probably pay some money. Oh, fucking hell. Oh, hold on. I gotta take this call.
Okay. And in the side chat, I see Pragmatic Crystal was already out there shilling for us. And Littered Pony, I'm not sure who that is.
Hi, Littered Pony. Who are you? We're always happy to get a new viewer.
There are a couple of possibilities. I was told that a couple people from my real life trans group have been lurking, but not commenting on our previous streams.
Those damn trans people. You can't trust them.
They said they came over from Ember's stream. I didn't know Ember was doing a stream today. I missed that. So today is World Book Day. Oh, hi, Ember. Oh.
Okay. That was just my uncle.
Okay. Ember tried to link everybody over here for us, but unfortunately linked to next week's stream instead of this one. See, this is what I get for setting something up ahead of time. I need to procrastinate to the last minute or I fuck things up for somebody.
Well, next week
Ember, I'm sorry you're having a bad day of it.
Well, next week sounds like a good topic for my show.
I haven't managed to sleep in a few days. I've tried, but
yeah, I'm not quite that far gone myself, but I did not sleep at all last night, so I'm currently walking like 3 kobolds in a trench coat.
Yeah, so I'm the only one who's actually awake and slept till noon, huh?
Yeah. Oh, hi, Molly.
Hi, Spooky.
Yeah, bit of a cough, but so far I haven't needed to use my inhaler today either, so that's a good thing. I'm probably just jinx myself too.
Okay, Molly, if you can remember way back to before you had children, I'm sure that's the last time you slept.
Sleep. What is this sleep you speak of?
I wonder if it has anything to do with this 20 ounces of coffee I'm drinking.
Maybe.
No, because I haven't had any coffee.
Hey, I passed up the 24-ounce cup.
Okay, so you're cutting back a bit, huh?
Yeah. I thought 20% would be a good start.
I actually need to work on drinking more because I've also realized that, oddly enough, without Slothgirl around, I'm allowing myself to get dehydrated. Because I used to sit up there with her every day and, play with the cat and drink 2 bottles of water when I was sitting up there. And I realized since that routine got broken up, I just have not been taking in enough fluids.
Keep a glass of water or something next to you at all times. That helps.
I try to.
You gotta hydrate. You can't go ignoring that stuff. You'll dry up like a little leaf and blow away.
Yeah, well, I've realized that it's, I've had some dizzy spells, and I'm sure that was because of getting dehydrated.
Could be. And I've got a crick in my neck. One of those things that's just below your skull on the back of your neck. Oh, God, I hate those.
Yeah, and that incessant chirping that keeps you up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's a cricket. That's a smaller one.
I ate the bird. It doesn't chirp anymore. Oh, the crickets chirp. Oh, I'm sorry.
Read a book.
I've got like 3 I gotta get to reading.
I unfortunately have a increasing stack of books I have picked up and have not gotten around to reading.
How can you read 2 or 3 books at the same time? I cannot concentrate enough on one to.
No, I can't
try to
either.
get that one.
I'll get them confused if I have more than one going at a time. My late fiance, on the other hand, would routinely read 5 books at a time and just keep swapping between them. Because she said she got bored just trying to read one at a time.
Little Red Pony, it's a World Book Day, so we're talking about books that, well, they know something about them. I know nothing. I don't actually read, so I didn't read your name. It spoke to me on the screen.
Yeah, I did not get the name right before either, so Jenny just figured it out for me.
You're reading a bunch of books. That's how you end up with Harry Potter taking the One Ring into Neverland.
You're reading Harry Potter?
No, not right now.
Well, if you bought them before she turned so cringe, it's something, but I actually can't enjoy them anymore now. Actually, even before she turned cringe, the way the series ended.
And that last book was kind of lackluster.
Yeah, well, and there were just too many things that never got wrapped up. I mean, like, it's like the whole thing of pursuing the Horcruxes didn't matter. That was like the major plot of 3 books. And then she just switched to something else.
I hated reading when I was a kid.
Well, reading is a bit of a chore for me, just with my dyslexia. I often have to read the same sentence like 3-4 times before I get everything in the right order for it to make sense.
Yeah, I have that problem.
I do also, except it's not because of word shifting or letter shifting. It's because I just can't. It just doesn't pile into the. This is what it means column. It's just okay. I know what that word means. Just what happens when they put them together? I sometimes have to think about that.
I have actually pretty severe where the letters actually can appear to be moving on the page.
Yeah, I don't have that problem, but I do have the letters like switching places and flipping backwards. So then it like a lowercase b and d, I don't know which one it is.
I think Republicans own the alphabet, and that's why these things do that. They just want to be cruel.
I'm for the simplified alphabet. We could, get rid of a couple of letters.
Yeah, we could.
We need more letters.
Well, we really don't need Q or Z.
Yes, we do.
No, any place you have Z, you can use an X and it would still be sounded the same.
You could probably get rid of the.
It wouldn't be spelled correctly.
You could probably get rid of the C.
QU. Yep. Yeah, C is unnecessary and just confuses things. Because you can use either a K or an S, depending on which sound it's supposed to make, and then you would know which sound it's supposed to make.
Fine. You just alienated Zorro. They'll never watch our show again.
Zorro just has to make an X instead of a Z.
For folks that were old enough to actually see Zorro on TV back in the black and white days, who played Zorro? Or let's say it this way: where else what other show have you seen the guy who played Zorro on?
I am lousy with actors, so I've got no clue. For some reason, I want to say the Green Hornet.
Ooh.
I don't know if that was actor or not.
That was Van Heflin. Or no, Van Johnson? Yeah, I think that was it. Whatever. No, that's not right. The guy who played Zorro also played Daddy Robinson on Lost in Space.
Oh. Now, see, I never connected that was the same actor.
I didn't either until they started showing Zorro locally here again. So it's not even something I have thought about for the last 60-some years.
Yeah, but Andre, we still need the X because it's going to take over for the Z. And then we can stop arguing with the British over whether it's Z or Z.
We need to add the U to our words like behavior. Because it's not like behavior, it's behavior. It needs the U. Mr. Webster, I think it was, or one of those dictionary type people is wrong in their abbreviated alphabet.
Yep.
Or spelling, I should say.
Okay, Brian Stevens says Guy Williams also starred in the Disney television show The Prince and the Pauper.
Oh, he did. I saw that back when I was a kid, but I don't remember him at all. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, well, I remember so little of my childhood anyway, so.
Let's see here. He was in Bonanza as William Cartwright.
Yes.
William Cartwright?
Yep, on Bonanza. And he was Sinbad and Captain Sinbad.
I don't remember any William Cartwright on Bonanza at all.
Will Cartwright.
There was no Will Cartwright.
Well, apparently there was.
No, there wasn't. There's Little Joe, Haas, that guy who disappeared after the first season, and Lauren Green. That was the Cartwrights, period.
Yeah, I don't remember any Bill or William.
I watched Bonanza every week for years.
Okay, here's some trivia for you then. What was Haas's actual name?
Dan
Well,
Blocker.
apparently,
In the show?
No, not the actor. What was the character's given name? Everyone called him Haas.
Well, maybe he was Will.
there he is.
Well, I believe that, but I've never heard of a character by that name. I'm going to have to check that out.
See?
Yeah, I don't remember the show well enough now. I'm not connecting it.
That's the
Did you-
character
I
right
mean, I
there.
know I've seen him, but
That's his Zorro mustache.
Wikipedia, Will Cartwright.
Okay, read the history to us. That's too small. I can't read that shit.
Will Cartwright, he was a nephew of Ben Cartwright. He receiving
well,
a telegram and stating that Will had died. Ben went in to retrieve the body. He finding that Will was wounded but alive. He was promptly taken into the Pandora Ponderosa. Will's past was basically unknown, and except for his for serving in the Mexican in Will was instantly attracted to Laura Dayton. Yada yada. You want me to keep reading? Or
No,
the-
not at all. That's a one episode thing. That don't. I mean, it does because it is him and it is that show, and you're 100,000% correct about the name, but it's not Bonanza. It's just a guy on it.
That was Bonanza.
yeah, but he wasn't a regular character in the series.
5 episodes.
Out of, let's see, what, 20 years? worth?
Probably.
Okay, Little Red Pony wants to
Okay.
bring back the letter Thorn.
Okay, here's another trivia on Bonanza. Did you know that the very first broadcast of Bonanza, the theme song was sung because it had words?
Yep. Actually, did you know that Lauren Green actually released 3 albums? So he
Yes.
had that on one of his albums.
Yeah, he had one of those deep, throaty voices that everybody thought, oh, you should make a record with that voice. No, don't. It's really, really boring. It's like William Shatner doing a record album. He's done more than one. Did you know that? Oh, man, what an ego.
You know, the only one I liked was William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy doing The Legend of Bilbo Baggins.
Not familiar.
Okay, look it up on YouTube later. It's
Okay.
funny. Basically, it's the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy broken down into one song.
Oh, I'm sure that it hits all the details.
Yeah, here we go. Give you a sort of visual representation of what it looks like for me to try and read. So this is how it would actually look. I don't know if you can read that, but let's
Oh.
blow that up a little bit.
Yeah, the text is rather small.
So that's the actual way it looks. And then usual days, things look a little kind of jumbled up a little bit here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And on really bad days, when I'm having really bad days, this is actually how the text looks to me, where it's kind of undulating back and forth and moving
Yeah,
around
that's- yeah.
on the page.
I have a big problem just trying to read the side chat when it's scrolling, just if the words are moving at all.
But it's when it's just sitting still, just still text. That's how it sometimes looks to me.
My brother has dyslexia, but I never asked him to describe it to me. I should do that.
It gets really weird sometimes. Like once I went into this grocery store and they had this big sign in the very back. I was looking at it and I actually watched the word completely change right before my eyes.
Lysdexics untie.
Yeah, that's actually that does mess me up when I'm driving. It's the billboards that change the ads.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Is that me or the billboard?
well, again, I learned to drive back in the day when you could use billboards for landmarks because it stayed the same billboard for 3 or 4 years.
Wonder if we would get a copyright strike if we played a William Shatner hit. I've never thought I'd hear myself say that.
Well, that would be hard to do because William Shatner and hit just don't go together.
Rocket Man, blasting off the speed of light.
Oh. I like the rainbow heart there.
Yeah, I like that one. I forget where I stole it from.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
That wasn't one you
no, I
created.
didn't make any of these avatars I use. These are things that I've stolen on the internet.
I remember.
Well, okay, well, I made this one, but it, it's pre-canned from Reddit.
I did a happy birthday for Shatner doing his style of singing.
He's got to be like 92 through 93, something like that.
Yeah, he's in his 90s. I don't remember exactly.
He's really in excellent condition for his age.
Yeah, he is, surprisingly.
Pretty
Well,
impressive.
evil and all that.
Yeah. But
94. Wow.
Yeah, actually, Hunter, I don't think I would be able to drive in Las Vegas just because I think the amount of flashing lights would be so overwhelming to me that I think it would trigger an autistic meltdown.
Yes, if you happen to have epilepsy and get triggered by a strobing light, then don't drive through Vegas.
There's a character on ABC, an ABC show right now, a police detective kind of guy who has dyslexia, and every once in a while it becomes part of the script. The character has dyslexia. I don't know if the actual person does. I rather doubt it. But their interpretation of that is they'll show like the sentence or the paragraph, and the part where he's reading, the letters will be flipping like on a Rolodex or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, the letters moving around on the page, like what I have, is fairly rare, even though it's usually depicted as common.
Actually, I had not heard of that until you started talking about it. So you're the first person I've met who's said they have that.
Yeah, like I said, it's actually a pretty rare for dyslexia, but it's usually pretty commonly depicted in TV.
Yeah.
Oh, with letters flipping and stuff?
Appearing to actually move.
Yeah, the swimming letters.
Well, when I say flipping, they're like the icons in a roulette wheel, not a roulette, a slot machine. That's the image that they try to portray with it.
Ah.
And it's not every letter. It's like several in the sentence, but not all of them. And so he can't read, and he actually has people read for him and write for him, and in the character and stuff. So it's mixed. I mean, it's nice that they make an awareness of dyslexia, but it almost feels pandery.
Yeah.
It's a Hollywood version by the sound of it.
Yeah, so well, it sounds like that the show would benefit from having a writer on the staff who was dyslexic, because apparently none of the people writing it have ever actually experienced it.
It's like how they depict people who are autistic on TV being some kind of genius level little savant thing.
Well, I do have one advantage with the dyslexia, which is since my brain has to turn everything around anyway while I'm a slow reader, having the page upside down doesn't slow me down any further. I can read at about the same speed anyway.
Yeah.
So if I'm sitting across the table from someone and the book is flat on the table, I can still read it at the same speed.
More or less.
That's a skill I was suggested to learn, and I did. Back in the hippie days and the protests and the arrests and having to read paperwork upside down so you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, unfortunately,
you're gonna
we're back into that we need to be protesting, but you need to be careful about how you protest and self-aware. And for God's sakes, people, if you're going to go to a protest, get a burner phone. Do not bring your regular phone with you if you go to a protest.
even if it's turned off.
Yep.
Because that doesn't mean a thing to the federales and stuff. They got machines that get right past that shit. And when you do a burner phone, do not let your face be on the camera when you're buying it, and buy it with cash.
All good suggestions.
Yeah. Yeah, and something that Cirrus mentioned that I remember is, it sucks that you can't take the battery out of your phone like we used to be able to do.
I absolutely hate that. Well, you can if you know how to open the damn thing up, but
I had a Motorola and I could actually unclip and clip in a new battery, and I like that a whole lot. But batteries
with mine it takes so long. Sorry, Jenny. What?
Batteries are much more inferior then, and you needed to have another battery around.
Yeah.
Now we got shit that runs all fucking day.
Apparently the EU has passed a regulation that by 2027 it will be illegal to sell any electronics that does not have a replaceable battery.
I hope that gets filtered down into the US. I'd love to have that back.
Well, it probably will, because they're not going to want to produce separate devices. They're going to want to be able to sell one device all over the world, so it'll probably come back here. But yeah, that's the EU passed that because they want to reduce the amount of e-waste, that they don't want people throwing away a perfectly good phone just because the battery went dead.
A royal command like that would be so absolutely antithetical to the American spirit and asininity.
Yeah, really.
I couldn't see them actually succeeding and requiring anybody to do it.
How can we increase our waste that way?
Yeah. I can't see them making it a requirement in the US, but just that because it's a requirement in the EU, it would be more cost effective for the companies to just do the same thing here.
That's what I'm hoping.
Well, I don't know if that would be true, because Nokia's primary market is Europe. We hardly ever see a Nokia around here anymore. So they don't need the American market. They're all set as an example.
Well, that's even more of a reason if they're not catering to our market and catering to somebody else's market, then
The other thing is permanent batteries, permanently installed batteries, are one of the pushes that companies use to get you to buy a piece of equipment.
Yep.
Then they make it cheaper to buy a new computer or a new phone than it is to fix the battery.
Yeah. Well, and this is the other thing, that assuming any other country is going to still be trading with us, the path we're going on,
Ember nails it.
Point, because nobody's going to be able to afford a cell phone, because either you're going to have the outrageous tariffs, which the whole point of the tariffs is supposed to get companies to produce them in the US. And if you're paying somebody minimum wage to assemble the cell phone, that's going to drive up the cost to make them a couple $1,000s each.
The top end maximum loaded iPhone 16, I believe, is $1,500, $1,600.
Yeah, but see, if we can't get those to be assembled by people who are only only earning $3 a day, that's going to like triple the cost of all the electronics.
I don't know what percentage, but I would expect it's an extremely high percentage of machine assembled. Humans can't deal with tiny parts like that tiny of parts.
Yeah.
If you've ever taken a phone apart.
Well, and that's the other reason why the whole tariff thing isn't going to work, because of the cost of labor here, companies will just automate more and more, so it won't really create any new jobs.
Yes, and so bringing jobs into the country because of the tariffs, you can't get the materials to build the factories.
Yep. Yeah, they're not going to be able to afford the machinery to upgrade. So yeah, it's a royal shit show, and it's like, I don't see any way this is going to work.
It really bothers me how everybody's expressing how much they hate what's going on in the country and stuff right now, and everybody has these little chants or personal vendettas to get rid of Trump, and they're forgetting that J.D. Vance is a dyed-in-the-wool Nazi, and he will make it even worse because he is owned by Heritage Foundation, and that's their God, that's their law is Christian nationalism.
Yeah,
which is not Christian at all. It's just Nazism, just like Adolf did. And so, I hope he makes it through.
I'm not sure if J.D. Vance would be necessarily worse, considering that they're basically doing this crap either way. But there will be pain in some short term. There will be some short term pain. We're sabotaging the economy to make it stronger. We're going to try turning the tariffs off and then on again. It was all Powell's fault.
Yeah.
Who, Jerome? No. I see Donnie had another 180-degree turn on the guy who is running the Fed, and how he was screaming and yelling that this guy's got to go and he's horrible and I hate him and blah blah blah, even though he was your appointee. And now today I see that he's saying, no, I would never get rid of that guy.
Horrible, worst choice ever. Who decided this? It was you, asshole.
Well, okay, I haven't been able to read enough to confirm it, but I've seen some things going around saying that Elon Musk is quitting the government.
He's saying he's going to leave around later in May.
Okay, like I said, I hadn't gotten any details on it. I just saw it pop up from several different sources.
Oh, and my little Trump joke about who chose this guy is only partially. Is actually he has some partiality to truth. He did that with one of his own policies.
And Colin Powell is dead.
Okay, and that's safe to blame everything on him because he can't defend himself.
It's quite possibly he is blaming Colin Powell. I don't know which Powell they're talking about, but
well, Trump probably doesn't know the difference either.
I wouldn't put it past him.
He's crying about Jerome Powell.
And we have Limey Redneck, who has a penguin avatar.
Limey Redneck? Oh no, Limey is UK, not Australia. Never mind.
These action figures coming out. Mega Keyboard Warrior. Now with more complaining in social media. The Cheeto.
I love the anime pillow girl there.
Yeah.
The anime pillow girl. Actually, I suggested the anime girl should have this expression.
Well, I am convinced the robot revolution will start with a sex robot becoming self-aware and screaming, "I didn't consent." Hey, Can we rush the AI revolution? Can we just get the AI to take over now? I mean, it can't be any worse than what we've got running the country now.
Eh,
I can't imagine that most humans would tolerate being told what to do by a machine.
I don't know. We seem to be getting a lot of that lately with the way people are using language models and AI.
Yeah, but we're in the infancy, and people are playing with it and having fun and exploring and stuff. You know, there's some people who say they're using it in their product placements or strategies and things like that, or even construction of stuff. But I can't see a situation like the Terminator existing.
Yeah, I decided that humans were to be gotten rid of.
Well,
Well-
till he got to know us, then.
Well, an argument could be made that for the good of preserving the planet, we should eliminate the human race. It would certainly help out a billion other species.
I could definitely see an AI coming to that conclusion.
But you know, we could get people to follow an AI just the same way that they're following Trump. You just have to, you know, build it up as a pseudo religion cult.
Yeah, actually, I could see more likely being something more like what we have in iRobot, where the AI tries to just enslave humanity for their own good.
Yep.
Who's
Hey,
our?
Randall.
Oh, Randall. Okay. Hi, Randall.
Ain't no dang robot gonna tell us what to do.
Yeah, there is going to be a robot telling you what to do. I don't think that you will follow it, but there will be a robot telling you what to do.
Yeah, they already do every day on the internet. They try.
You know, I am. Oh God, I seem to bring this up a bunch. I am getting more and more frightened about being disappeared off the streets.
Yeah.
Because I'm trans, and I think that I may have a certain level of visibility because I have been writing mean nasty tweets to everybody I can think of in the Republican end of things for years, and I'm just very frightened that I'm going to end up in El Salvador. Why don't they build one of these concentration camps in the Arctic Circle? That I could deal with.
In fact, they're even finding that that whole El Salvador prison may, in fact, be a death camp.
Yeah.
Not just a slave labor thing.
Well, you know what I'm surprised about is that the corporations who run the for-profit prisons in the U.S. aren't, you know, getting on the Republicans about shipping that out to other countries. I mean, how are they going to make a profit if there aren't enough prisoners left here in the U.S.?
Amber, I agree with you on that.
Oh yeah, and if it were an option, I would have years ago. Heck, I would have moved to Canada right after George W. got elected if it had ever been an option.
Mm.
All my plans and hopes to get to Canada are pretty much gone with not having a car anymore.
A friend works in a corporate FedEx building and saw a sentry robot chase someone down. Not seen it move for 2 years before that. The human security hates them, and it looks disarmingly stupid.
Oh, it can only look stupid if they make it wear a backward baseball cap.
Yeah, I saw a YouTube video yesterday of some of the scary stuff they're putting on robots for the military. Basically, they're up to the level of having miniature tanks that are semi-autonomous.
The group I think we need to watch out for is Boston Scientific. Is that their name? That are
Boston
making
Dynamic, I think it is. Yeah.
these robots that can fucking dance and jump and do
Yep.
somersaults, and
Well,
they're
and
just unbelievable.
that's one of the things is that the little dog robot they make, that the military has a version of it that carries a machine gun.
Yeah, I've already seen instructions for Street Survival on how to disable one of those.
Oh,
Oh yeah, hey, you have to work way ahead of these guys.
yeah, no, I didn't know that information was generally available. I'll have to look for it. Yeah, I've been making myself a target because I've started to get involved in local protests. Oh, Mage, Antra says she sent you something.
Oh.
In the group chat.
That's not that exploding one, is it? Is it, Jar?
Okay, this thing doesn't look so much menacing as it looks like it's like a huge microphone from that top, and like this is just some kind of like sound system for karaoke.
Kind of looks like my brother when he loses his head. At Edward's brother, I should say.
Here's the version from the remake movie, rebooted version.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that this.
Ember, you mean a physical in real life meetup?
Yep.
Let's see
Well,
what we got
that's for
here.
the hands-off protest. They had a surprisingly big one here. That it started at the downtown library, and the line of protesters filled the sidewalk for 5 or 6 blocks.
Want me to read this? Is on live here?
Sure.
Hunter?
Randall says throw magnets at the robots.
EMP pulses, here you go. No, I guess I'll put it up.
I'm thinking a 45 from 10 feet would do the job too. You're done.
See, here's says AI will never be able to write like me. Why? Because as I am now inserting random sentences into every post to throw off their language learning models. An AI emulating me will radiate a free yellow horse spout nonsense.
I love it.
I had to just
Yep.
double check that, make sure I was actually reading that right. All right, hey, all my email. Well, that's not my baby and report, or it's like to protect my data, waffle iron, and 40% off. I suggest Soul Rider is now to let's do this thing in strawberry mango forklift. The robot nerds will never get the better of Ken. Hey, he can, and I have whipped cream, please. We can tune a fish tango foxtrot defeat AI. We just have to talk like this all the time. Piss on carpet.
I also heard of a person recommending a very similar attack that way with that technique, except for imaging. That you're supposed to label images if you upload them to AI, and so they mislabel them. So they send you a picture of a machine gun, but they've named it a rocking horse. There's something like that. I think
That
we
would
really
explain
should
some of the
do that
results
kind of
I've
stuff.
seen.
Why do you guys want a worse tool, though?
Because it is going to be used against us on some level in some way, and we need to defend ourselves early. If you wait till things start to be actual bad, it's too late. It's like, think of the guys in El Salvador right now. We didn't do something to stop this from happening, meaning the election.
So you're just
and now
being
it's
afraid
too
of the
late.
technology.
Pardon?
So you're just being afraid of the technology.
No, I'm being afraid of the humans that use it.
Yeah. We're afraid of how it's going to be used, in this case, by the government. I don't know if trashing the technology is really a solution, but, it's like, what can we do to at least slow things down?
I love all the massive protest attendance that's going on. It's so encouraging. I mean, we've never even seen that kind of response back in the Vietnam days.
Yeah, well, and apparently now they're going to be doing it here like every weekend.
Yeah. Was something special going down on May Day.
Okay, I hadn't heard about anything special planned for May Day. I'll have to look that up. Cirrus had a real good link for finding out about, what's going on wherever you are, that, you could plug your location into it. Now I can't remember the name of it. 5 something. I'll have to go back to more Cirrus's videos and find it.
Magnets are too expensive to be throwing around. Those neodymiums, get one that's going to be big enough to do damage. Those are fucking expensive and dangerous as hell.
Yeah, just cut up a dead hard drive. That'll give you a good size magnet you can throw at the robots.
I think I got a bulky eraser somewhere around here still.
Somewhat? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
A bulky eraser.
Oh.
It's basically an electromagnet you stick on a disc to wipe it.
Yeah, I know what that is.
Now I'm disappointed. I thought it was something that was going to, help me get this fold off of my midsection. Erase the extra bulk.
Usually used in case the disc was too corrupted to really use. You can just wipe the whole thing, and sometimes it helped them reformat it, and it worked again.
Yep. Well, one of my problems with Slothgirl Gone is that I don't have anyone I can trust to destroy all the evidence if I die suddenly.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to build an EMP gun and a rail gun.
I suppose it could be one and the same.
No, an EMP cannon would be shooting out energy. A rail gun shoots out a hard shell.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying you could integrate the two into one, considering the way the railgun and shoots the shell.
That's true. I think any kind of railgun would create a hell of an EMP field in the process.
Well, they have them installed on some naval ships.
Yep. Oh yeah, the Navy is using them.
I understand the Navy has also been actively using laser weapons.
Yeah. Microwave guns as well.
Well, I know they've been trying to develop them for decades. I don't know what the current state of them is.
They need to make a powerful laser that works off a 9-volt battery.
That's our main problem with any kind of energy weapon is the battery storage. Most of them just would need a battery too absurdly large for a person to carry, and in most cases, too big to fit in a normal car.
Well, that's why we want to go to Mars, because that's the only known source for dilithium crystals.
Oh, is that where they got them from?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, to start with, once they got them and they were able to get out there, they found more dilithium. But
So dilithium crystals imply the existence of monolithium crystals.
well, yeah, that sounds like it would be just basic lithium.
Yeah, in fact, that originally in the first I believe it was like the first pilot, they were using lithium, but since it was a known element, they wanted to make it more sci-fi and exotic, so they went with calling it dilithium.
Ah,
But they were talking dilithium crystals on Star Trek back in the 60s.
Yeah.
And there was no such thing as a lithium battery. I think that they called it like the Simpsons do and did very well.
Yeah, at first they used lithium as the crystal that they had, but they wanted it more sci-fi, so they went with calling it dilithium. That's where
Yeah.
where the name came from.
I understand that, but we now have what they said existed that didn't.
yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of
At the
stuff
time
that
the
they said.
original Star Trek was made, lithium batteries were at best theoretical.
Yeah,
they didn't exist.
Well, that's why I'm saying that somebody may have had the idea that theoretically we could make a battery out of lithium, but nobody knew how to do it then.
First lithium battery was developed in 1978 or 76.
That's a long way from the early 60s.
So about at least a little over a decade from the show.
Yep. Okay, Ember's saying wait till the sulfur lithium batteries hit the market.
Oh yeah, that's what we need. Something that not only has the danger of lithium shorting out and exploding or burning, but add a little fuel to that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually the biggest thing. That they have been making these, and so far they haven't come up any way that you could have it in a pocket device that would not wind up spontaneously combusting.
I know. Let's add to this. Let's put it into a Cybertruck.
That's the neat thing about Cybertrucks. You buy one and it gets too old and wears out. It just self-destructs anyways.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about recycling it.
Yeah, the Cybertrucks will just turn to that oxidized brown powder.
You just sweep it up and throw it away.
They really seem to be a serious piece of crap. I mean, I've never seen one and touched it and felt it, but
I've seen one.
I'm hearing people say this is made so badly. This is horrible. That's horrible.
I got to see one up close. They're big. They're bulky. I don't know how the hell they managed to get so little trunk space with how bulky the damn things are.
A poor design, bad angles. Yeah, I saw one in a parking lot once. I've seen two of them driving around the city here.
The metal looks like you could easily smudge it.
Well, it's not very good quality stainless, because I've seen people do magnet tests where magnets love it just fine.
Yeah. Well, if it was decent quality stainless, they wouldn't be rusting.
Yeah, it looked a little. This looked like a new one, and it still looked like it was starting to oxidize a little bit from the one that I
Yeah.
saw. But then again, it's down in here in Florida, so it's being constantly exposed to the salt air and all that.
Yeah, well, the same thing up here. That the ones I saw were less than a year old and were already starting to rust.
And Minnesota doesn't use salt for the most part.
No, they switched to spraying. I think it's some kind of
It's a
sodium
brine.
chloride or something. Yeah, or a brine.
Yeah, a salt brine.
Yeah. Yeah, and St. Cloud's real good about that. That before the snow hits the streets, when they know it's coming, they start spraying it down before the snow comes, and that really does a great job of keeping things from icing up.
That's what they say.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Around here, it works as long as they get ahead of it. Because in four winters living here, there's only been a couple of days that the streets really got slick.
Jeez.
I just realized today that come October, I will have been here in Minnesota for 10 years.
I've actually seen people legitimately suggesting this.
Yeah, I'm sure that some of his followers are pushing for it.
Yeah, well, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, no, the Catholic Church
they
is
may
not
be
going
the
to go for
church, but
that.
they're wise to this dude.
Yeah.
At least the Catholic Church is.
Yeah, so that's the other big news now. That
Yeah. The other thing I'm hearing is probably going to get more of a Nazi sympathizer type, a pope, to sympathize with the guy.
that unfortunately is not outside the possibility.
You can't be a Nazi and religious. They're absolutely opposed to each other.
Apparently not that opposed. I mean, they had the belt buckles with God with us.
Yeah, during World War II, the Vatican made deals with the Nazis. How do you think the Vatican didn't get all their gold stolen?
Well, you'll have to show me that.
Well, it's also why the Vatican still has so much artwork that was taken from French museums during World War II that they still won't give back. But yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but there's actually where there was a what's the name of it? Where priests train.
Seminary?
Yeah, I guess that's probably it. But yeah, there was one during World War II in Italy that basically, just to keep the Nazis from taking over the place, they agreed to let them have a machine gun nest up there because it was the high ground that covered the whole valley below.
Yeah, but collaboration under the gun is a whole different set than saying I'm working with these guys. The French resistance by day was just French citizens, and by night they were one of the worst enemies that the Reich had.
Yeah,
and one of the most successful groups at wiping them out as much as they can. They didn't win the war, but they certainly made a big difference.
Yeah. Amber says you can't be a Nazi and be a good person, but that allows for lots of religious options. And yeah. And yeah, if Jesus came back today, the mega crowd would not tolerate him.
I saw one of those Carl Sagan clips where he's near end of life, and he's talking about religion and science. And he made it very, very clear that the only religions in the world, the major religions in the world, that don't believe in science are the evangelicals.
Yep.
Everybody else says, yeah, okay, we can live with the Big Bang. We can live with all that kind of technical stuff. That's just fine.
Yeah, even the Catholics can, get on board with the Big Bang and with evolution.
Well, the Catholic Church has a division of science.
Yeah.
That
Well,
can
that's,
do research.
when I was growing up, we were in the Catholic Church, and the way they explained it to me was that they had no problem with evolution. That was just the process God used when he needed to make new animals.
Okay, this is interesting. According to historian David Kurtzer, a recent review document and show that he was neither the anti-Semitic monster often called old Hitler's Pope, not a hero. But so basically, publicly they were silent, but behind the scenes they were trying to help the Jews. Is basically what they're finding.
Yeah, I can't say I've done a lot of research on it, so I would need to read more up on it. It's only peripherally connected to my usual area of study.
Yeah, it's not exactly something I've looked into depths on, so this is just a kind of a cursory glance at what we got.
Yeah,
Randall,
feelings
I
don't
agree
care
with
about your facts.
I just still to this day cannot understand how it is that in a technologically competent and advanced society like we have, how such a large section of the population would not believe science. How can you not understand this, folks? Why
Mostly
are you
it's
so
due to poor
stupid?
education. I mean, you can go state by state, and the percentage of people who reject science is going to be based on how poor the state's education system is.
No, it's going to be based on the religious influence.
Yeah, well, the two go together.
Everybody gets pretty much the same education in this nation. It's whether or not
No.
they absorb it.
No, that just isn't true. Because clearly, what I got from the public education in the 70s was a lot better than like Mississippi and Alabama are getting today.
Well, I haven't read any lesson plans from any state, including my own. So I don't think that I can say anything about that.
This is just what I get with talking to people in different states on the internet, and it's like, yeah, they just a lot of it has to do with how badly funded the public schools are.
I also have a pretty high skepticism quotient.
Yeah.
And I should even refine that further, especially since the advent of the internet. Americans have shown themselves, and I'm sure it extends in other cultures too, but Americans have shown themselves to be very gullible, very manipulatable, manipulatable, whatever, to be convinced that things that aren't real are real. I mean, look at how many people think that there's an actual Bigfoot,
Yeah,
and ghosts and things like that. It's like, that's insane. None of these things are physically possible, but they won't even accept thinking about that possibility that they're wrong.
Yeah, this is interesting. I didn't know they had an undubbed version of Arnold Schwarzenegger's Hercules in New York.
Hercules and what?
Hercules in New York. It was like it was his first movie.
Oh,
Kevin Sorbo?
No, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh,
Here,
I
I think I can get away with playing
wonder
this.
if that was a documentary that he was in.
No, it was a movie.
Yeah, a documentary, a movie about weightlifters and stuff like that. And I know that he was in something like that.
Here's a clip for it showing the dub version.
Oh no, that's definitely not what I saw.
I'm tired of the same old faces. The same old things.
Like it down there.
Let me be the judge of that. I am tired of the same old faces, the same old things.
Like it down.
Yeah, the other voice they use just doesn't work for him.
Yeah, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie he debuted, Hercules, he's in New York, 1970. And his lines were dubbed because of his strong Austrian accent. I didn't know they had an undubbed version out there, though.
Yeah, I suppose if at the time nobody knew what his voice was.
Yeah, he was
you know,
completely
it may
new.
have worked then. Yeah, it may have worked then if nobody knew his accent.
Yeah,
But just now it sounds so wrong.
Yeah, that was his first movie.
Yep.
Ooh, America's Test Kitchen is doing a spatchcock chicken. Nummy, nummy.
Okay, now isn't spatchcock just like, butterflying it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But they've got it set up in a looks like about a 14-inch pan, cast iron pan, and all the vegetables and things are going with it at the same time.
Yeah.
I love roasted carrots.
I think part of the problem I had last night was a supposedly fully cooked chicken that I think wasn't.
Randall, that education, was that sheep, goats, cows, or your girlfriend? Tell me which. Or your boyfriend. I'm sorry.
Cousin?
Yeah, well, cow and girlfriend could have been the same thing.
Ooh, that's low. That is low.
Yeah, but spending 5 years up in rural Michigan, yeah, I heard a lot of stories. And Minnesota has a law that it is illegal to have sex with a chicken, and you know that law wouldn't exist if they didn't find somebody doing it at some point.
You know what they do with some people do with carps, don't you?
I don't want to think about it because it seems that there's kind of some nasty teeth involved.
Carp don't have teeth. They're plant suckers and debris suckers. Fat hooker named Tootie. Boy, well, we're certainly ruining our reputation here today.
We had a reputation?
Yeah, we tend to be, non-sexist, non-racist, and all those kinds of things.
Oh, yeah.
And when we start talking about a fat hooker named Tootie, that a whole bunch of that goes out the window.
Okay.
Oh, you're serious about this, Randall, aren't you?
I don't know if he is or not.
Well, that line makes it sound pretty serious. But, I can be fooled. I'm an American.
Oh, yeah, and that was another thing that the government came up with now, is that they've been cutting so many people from the FDA that there will no longer be routine inspections of food processing plants.
Yeah, that's always fun.
The woman up here who is my transportation, Mary, used to be a federal food inspector,
Hmm.
and she heard that and just started saying all the things that she's run into, that she had to make them stop doing that because you're going to kill somebody.
Yep.
It's going to be scary.
Going to be?
And
Yeah,
the
well,
Republicans don't care.
yeah. How often were we hearing about food recalls when there were routine inspections? And if they know no inspectors coming in, how much are they going to slack off on cleaning the equipment?
Who here has read the book The Jungle?
Oh yes, again I don't remember much of it because I read it when I was in high school, but there were some particularly nasty bits of it.
For those who may not have run into it, that's a oh god, I can't believe I forgot the author. Anyways, it's about the food processing industry and corruption and the horrible things that they did and stuff like that. And it's very much worth a read, and I think all kids should read that in high school.
Yeah, but be warned, very strong content. You know,
I wonder if it's banned in some of these anal retention schools. Somebody do a search. Is The Jungle, in quotation marks, on the banned book list?
Jungle?
yes, The Jungle by Upton Sinclair has been banned in several countries and contexts.
Oh, but it
Okay,
says nothing
actually,
about
it's
American
going by
schools?
different countries that it was banned in.
Yeah. I guess they just don't want people knowing that these kinds of things are done. That's really my biggest fear about all of this Nazism that's going on, is that the government's going to stop doing things like food inspections and OSHA, and
Yep.
they've already tanked OSHA. It's going to get very, very dangerous. There's going to be child labor and child death in workplaces. There already has been, and I think it's going to be just a very, very sad excuse for a society. And we will be in third world status within months. We're practically there right now.
Okay, yeah, apparently Senator Joe McCarthy got it banned in 1953 for its communist sympathies.
Yeah, well, Upton Sinclair was a commie. I can't believe I forgot his name.
Yeah, I couldn't remember it either. I had to look it up. Oh. Oh, bye, Randall.
Hey, bye-bye, Randall. Be good. Don't get caught.
Well,
Unless you got enough bail money.
how I imagined 2025 as a kid. How it turned out. The Earth is round. Sources!
Yep.
And if you give them sources, they won't believe you because they're it's obviously conspiratorial. Well, and that you can't trust those sources.
Yeah, they tell you to do your own research, but then when you come back to them and cite several references, they won't accept any of those.
I was actually running into that with other things.
It's very, very common in the TikTok trans live debates where these haters will bring in. Oh, I mean, there's just dozens and dozens of so-called studies and research and surveys and things that are made up and completely manipulated to show the facts that they want, that come from the trans hating Republican network.
Yeah.
And these people will just not accept that these are bogus. Well, no, this was written by blah 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 in this institution, dude. Look up that institution. You'll find it has 3 people, and it's in a trailer park.
Yeah.
I was trying to tell people how Elon Musk is lying to you, and they wouldn't believe me. Like, okay, well, look at it yourself. Here's a few things to get you started. That doesn't say what you're saying it says. Yes, it does. Okay, well, what source do you believe? I believe Dave Doge on Elon Musk.
Well, and not just that Elon is lying, but that he doesn't know what he's talking about, and things aren't nearly at the level he claims they are. Because since 2017, he's been promising us full self-driving cars by the end of the year.
Oh yeah, I was arguing about the about 150-year-olds getting the Social Security thing. I was like, no, that's not happening.
What Elon Musk and Doggy is doing has nothing to do with cutting waste. What they're finding is from the outside is that there's very little waste in the government. To be honest.
Well, especially the
and
Social
what they're doing.
Security.
Excuse
Go
me.
on.
What they're doing is getting rid of certain agencies, certain regulations, certain people, certain positions that affect them in terms of business and their wealth. That's all this is about.
If they really wanted to get rid of the waste, they would want to look at the Pentagon, and that has about 61% of their budget unaccounted for.
So they say. I haven't seen any evidence of that.
They failed an audit multiple times. That's where where that comes from.
Yeah,
I know the Pentagon is guilty of paying too much for certain things, but I also know in terms of manufacturing and the costs and R&D and stuff like that, that one-up items are absolutely outrageously expensive.
Yeah, well, the Pentagon's been audited several times, and they've got up to something like 61% of the money that they get is unaccounted for what they don't know what it's being used for.
I find that hard to believe.
That's what the audits came up with.
I'd have to read that.
Yeah. But yeah, also there are some things that, they seem outrageously priced, and people say, like you could go to Walmart and you could get one for $20 or something, but some of the stuff is that they have to be guaranteed a quality level and a precision level, that would not be available to consumers.
My brother's a machinist, and he used to make parts for at one place he worked for the space shuttle and the military. And his best friend was a guy who designed weapons for the military. And they made it quite clear that there are certain precision items and hardware, a fucking bolt of some sort or other, that is so specialized you cannot. It takes 2 or 3 days to make the fucking thing.
Yeah,
and their tolerances are into the almost millionths of an inch, plus or minus.
Oh
well, and like the electronics, they can't risk the electronics on a helicopter failing when it's in a war zone. So the things have to be built to a much higher durability.
Pentagon can account for 63% of nearly $4 trillion in assets. DO regularly buys parts and equipment it doesn't need because it can't keep track of the parts and equipment it already owns, and it failed at putting in a generously the department and actually received a disclaimer of opinion according to the government accountability office. That means auditors were unable to obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence to provide a basis for an audit opinion, and so the outcome is more like an incomplete than an abject failure. But semantics aside, one major reason the Pentagon keeps failing audits is because it can't keep track of its property. Last year, the Pentagon couldn't account for a whopping 61% of its 3.5 trillion in assets. That was before I got the 61% for them. That figure would increase this year. The department insufficiently documenting 63% of it's now 3.88 trillion. So it's you gotta.
That
Yeah.
is a completely different situation, though, than we're going to come up here and waste money in this guy's office decoration or stuff that people think is going on.
Yeah,
They have bad logistics and accounting, or I should say, counting their actual equipment and things.
Yeah,
A lot
I
of
mean,
it is being stolen by terrorists,
but
American terrorists.
well, no, but the point is if you're looking waste east and clean up waste, that would be the first place I'd look.
yeah,
Place where they can't account for more than half of their budget.
yeah. But obviously, the military needs a much better inventory tracking system to figure out where all their equipment is.
Yeah, and to include that figure of account of, that is not so much waste as it is incompetence. Waste is that I'm spending this money on stupid things without discretion.
Well, no, that's part of the waste too, though, because like it was saying that because they don't know where equipment is, they wind up having to buy replacements for things they already have. So a lot of money is being wasted on that and making duplicate purchases.
I call duplicate purchases is waste.
Yep.
So yeah, they need to keep track of their shit better.
Well, we don't know that that's happening, but yes, if it is happening, that's certainly correct.
We do know that's happening. I just
Yeah, from the thing Mage was reading, it was right there. And yeah, I can believe that part of it I think is that they wind up shipping equipment all over the world and giving equipment to countries that we like at the time, and maybe there's not a full tracking of how much was given to who.
I just understand I'm not trying to defend the military, because I know that there's definitely waste that goes on there.
Yeah.
But what I do not trust is the people who are making the reports like that. I've never heard of that group that's been on the top page of that thing you just read. And my experience with hearing non-specialists try to define or explain studies, they haven't got a clue. I run into people all the time who don't know what a PMID is. That people don't know what an abstract means, and that they think that if they read the abstract, they know everything about the study, which is just a total bullshit.
Yeah,
But
I
they
am
think it's
surprised
because they don't know any better.
I am surprised for them to say that it's more than half of the military equipment. That it's not like they lose an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, and I just don't believe more than half of their inventory doesn't exist. I just don't believe it.
It didn't say it doesn't exist. They said they can't count for where it is. They're not tracking it.
Well,
Yeah.
if it's not missing, then it's not waste. They have it. It's theirs.
Yeah, they have it, but they go and buy more of what they have.
We
because
don't
they
know
don't
that.
know. Yes, we do.
Yeah,
I just fucking read it.
but well, one thing the military likes to do a lot, is they want all the latest equipment, of course. So they wind up basically giving, last year's model of the equipment to some other country to give them an excuse to buy the new stuff.
And let's also understand that military supplies that are given, such as Ukraine, which is the current topic, is not given to them. They buy it from the military, and then the military has to have stuff built to replace that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the money gets spent in the American economy. Okay, the money doesn't come out of the federal budget, that here we're going to give a gift of a couple billion to this company. Let's write a check. No, it's equipment that they are buying.
Well,
And
yeah,
they get to buy it at a major deal.
Yeah.
And
they're
stuff like
buying the equipment, though, using tax money. But yes, it is generating jobs, for U.S. manufacturers to build the stuff.
if they have a product and they sell it to a country, and then they have to build a new one. That's what profit's about. That's how capitalism works. Okay, that's not waste. That's just how it works.
Ember says, I'm reminded about how half the Navy's ships are brick buildings with brass plaques.
And that gets into a little bit different argument than what I was just reading.
Yeah. I don't know about the ships being brick buildings, but the Navy does have an incredible number of ships that are, just basically sitting at moorings until they become so rusted they have to scrap them. But, they keep those on hand for, in the event that we go to war, that they could reactivate some of them is the idea.
Mhm.
Although in most cases it's not really feasible to reactivate the old ships.
It's very feasible. It just takes a hell of a lot more than people think it takes. Because all the equipment is so antiquish and things like that.
Well, because of the amount of labor involved, in many cases it would be easier to build new ones rather than to refurbish the old ones they've had sitting around. Oink! Ow! Very just trying to pop my shoulder back in place. So, anybody do anything fun lately?
Had my dog's birthday yesterday.
I had a spectacular orgasm a couple days ago.
Can I have one of those?
Sorry, I don't trade goods and services.
Take two and call me in the morning.
I'd love to have two. Yeah, that'd be fine. I'll work on that tonight.
Yeah, that's one of the downsides of being on the testosterone blockers, is it makes those more difficult than they used to be.
Indeed. I mean, privately, you guys have heard me complaining and stuff. I don't care. I'll tell the fucking chat. I haven't been able to have proper orgasms for years, and we all pretty much accounted for the shitload of medications that I have to take.
Yeah.
But since I've lost my medical or insurance coverage for medicine, I haven't been able to reorder things, and I'm starting to take less and less medications, and some things are coming back.
Well, you might as well enjoy it while you can.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how I figure it too.
Get something out of it. Something good out of a bad situation.
Yeah. Porpoise says Athena has decided she is allowed to be in the area of my desk where the drawer once was. What happened to the drawer? All hail Bigfoot.
All hail Bigfoot?
Captive desk. That's just the standard. Well, that's the standard greeting for his channel. All hail Bigfoot.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, Porpoise, if the drawer is not there, why can't it be a cat hole now?
You cat hole.
I have been so tempted to put an extra cat hole through the wall between my living room and bedroom.
Well, since we're talking about cats, I saw this article or story. I don't know, remember what it was. talking about some kid for a science project. His study that he did was do cats' anus touch the ground every time they sit?
Okay.
I can't believe somebody did a study on that, even if it is just a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten chided for using kids for science projects, but oh, wait a minute. I'd better not talk about that in case Molly's still listening.
Well, I suppose you could do is put the cat hole through the door and have an extra door. So if you ever have to move out, that they don't have to replace the door for you. Got it right there.
Yeah, that would be the thing, is I would need a spare door for that. And, it would be far cheaper to just cut a hole through the plaster than having to replace the door. Because the plaster I can patch up so well they wouldn't even notice it. They were completely unaware of all the places I patched it up in Slothgirl's apartment. Because I took a little cutting from the drywall inside the closet and took it to Menards to get them to match the paint color.
Hmm.
And they did such a good job that, when the building manager went through, she was completely unaware of how many holes we'd made in the walls.
Except that one big one that's labeled Glory.
No, unfortunately, that didn't work in her apartment because her bathroom wall just, adjoined the public corridor, and not too many people were comfortable getting naked out there. Yes. Yes, cats do not mind rules. They don't pay attention to them. I have very few rules for the cats, and I'm still working on getting Ethan not to go up on the kitchen counters. I finally got Sammy's son to do that after I moved, but and what is it about cats? Why, when they've got 3 water dishes that I change every single day. Always, they get fresh water every day. Why is Ethan obsessed with drinking the dirty dishwater instead?
It's a cat.
I have that same thing with chickens. You give them clean water, and they go and drink the dirty water.
Yeah, but I mean, dirty, soapy water. Why doesn't the taste of the soap put him off to get him to stop doing that?
Because it's a cat.
Yeah.
They are very odd creatures.
Hey, Victoria.
That's not plus or minus judgment. That's just the statement of observation. They're very odd.
Yep. Yeah, back when I was living in New York, when I was using Facebook, I was like narrating my ongoing progress of domesticating 3 feral cats from the colony. And I was, narrating it like the David Attenborough wildlife shows. The really strange behavior you got when you brought in cats that had never lived in a house before and trying to get them used to what was in a house. Yep.
Fuck your laws of physics. I'm a cat.
Oh, fuck. I wish I knew where that picture came from. I could use more of those.
It's an old one.
Right, but I've been telling people that this is possible, and nobody would believe me. That a cat can climb up a brick wall.
Well, of course they can. I've seen films of them climbing up a drywall wall in a home.
Yep.
Well, I'll save the image and
those claws are effective.
Post it.
Yeah. I saw that. I saw a bit of a video that they had like a litter of kittens, that were like Spider-Man, that they'd go in the room and it would be 3 or 4 of the kittens were like up on the middle of the wall. I'm guessing that one was probably that I think they had fabric wallpaper that made it really easy for those tiny claws to grip into.
Dogs would never do that. They just know better.
Yeah, well, a dog wants to please the humans. A dog wants to make you happy. A cat wants to just see what it can get away with.
Cat wants you to die so they can eat you.
Dog.
They don't want you to die because then they'd have to clean their own litter box, and they're not going to do that.
Dog. You were gone forever and ever. I know. I counted. Cat. Oh, you're back. Clean my litter and feed me, slave.
Petunia has gotten to be such a sweetie, though. When she comes to check if I'm awake yet. Then I feel her little nose on my forehead. And I'm sorry, I'm floored by Petunia, actually being at all wanting contact with a human compared to the way she was when we got her from the shelter. I mean, I realize that was like 9 years ago now, but just at the time we got her, she would bite anyone who tried to touch her.
What a bitch.
No, she had just been badly abused, so anytime somebody reached for her, she assumed she was going to get slapped. And I think that biting was just the only way that she had to communicate with people.
See, I say the word bitch, and it makes me think of Nancy Mace, the congresswoman who's trans hater that made the Congress pass that law against the Sarah
not
McRobin.
letting trans women use the right bathroom.
Yeah. I tracked down again the article about how that is, the authors of it confess that it is completely bogus, made up lies. And I sent it to her today on Twitter.
Yep.
And I just said, hey, bitch, if you're going to scream and yell, maybe you ought to read and not sound like a total dope. But I don't think she will, but if she was smart, she would.
Okay, I have to step away for a moment.
Okay, now I have my happy task to do today.
Hello. What else we got here? Nope. Oh, Molly just came in. Sitting here with me. Katsu, I guess, would be Tsundere. He's in anime. A character archetype particularly common in anime and manga, who initially appears cold, harsh, or even hostile, but gradually he reveals a warm and affectionate and sometimes even shy side, especially towards their love interest. Sounds like a good explain description of a cat.
Yes, it does. No, I got to recall it. There was actually a very interesting cat video on TikTok that I knew you guys would love to see, but you don't think you have to see anything from TikTok, so you wouldn't enjoy it, even if you did, I'm sure.
What else you got
But it
here?
was cats doing the things that you didn't really expect cats to do. Certain types of interactions and training that they do, and some of their instinctual protective behaviors.
Mm.
Well, that's why I definitely sleep better with a cat on the bed, because I know they will warn me if anybody tries to come in.
How would they do that?
Well, mostly just that the way I sleep, I'm alert to movement. So just the cat standing up on the bed, it's different because they can, during the night, I know they get on and off the bed, several times without waking me. But if something strange happens, I think it's probably actually that they extend their claws then. So I'm probably feeling the claw in my leg. Yeah, because there's a definite difference between them just, getting on and off the bed whenever they need to, and, when they stand up because something's out of place. And speaking of, I've got Ethan on the back of the chair behind my head. But yeah, most people still have the stereotype of cats being aloof, and I think that's like, if your cat's that aloof, I think that you just haven't spent enough time socializing with them. Granted, Petunia would still most of the time just rather lay in the windowsill.
Well, I can't reach her from over there, Molly.
Huh?
Molly's just saying it looks like give me belly rubs. I'm hearing an echo. Oh, there goes. Okay.
Ah.
She looked at me and give me belly rubs. I can't reach her from over there, Molly.
So, Mage, were you about to bring something else up?
Yes.
Oh, the Trump balloon.
Trump may soon offer a motherhood medal, an idea popularized in Nazi Germany. On Monday, the New York Times reported that the Trump administration is mulling a suit of initiative aimed at encouraging Americans to have more babies. It sounds like an Elon Musk idea. Some of the suggestions for these programs came from frontalists, a loose network of activists who believe that the humanity is basically doomed. Unless people will have more kids. Yeah, this definitely sounds like an Elon Musk thing. A few weeks back, I hung out with some of them in the Austin in their conference, which is called Naturally Natal Con, and to say that most of the conference go whereas leaned right, it would be an understatement. Some of the topics under discussion were the ethics of gene editing embryos to endow them with desired traits. It's how having more babies could save the West, and why this woman should forgo careers is to be mothers. Sounds like a great crowd, doesn't it?
Well, everything they're doing is set up some way to control women, to take away their rights, to make them just breeding factories. These guys have had this obsession with, we have to breed more white people since the statistics first started showing up in the public about how soon it's going to be that the minority people in America will outnumber the white people. And they can't accept that. They just can't accept that. And so their hate builds and their evil plans, like this build, it's not Elon Musk, it's the entire Republican Party and right-wing extremists.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot that Elon Musk has something like 14 kids.
Maybe more.
Yeah, but that they apparently were all like in vitro
Yeah.
because he wanted to select for them all to be male.
Yeah, they're in vitro. He has at least 14 kids that we know of. There may be more.
Yep. And that kind of puts a new perspective on, why he's so pissed off about his daughter being trans.
That's the exact
was
thought I
supposed
had
to be a
at the
boy.
same moment.
In
Yeah.
fact, she actually said as much.
Okay.
Vivian, is that right? Is that her name?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think
Definitely.
that's right.
She's on TikTok almost every night. You can always go and see it, and she is in open conversations with people. You can go in and get to know her and talk and learn and teach her and all kinds of stuff. It's really a very nice little thing that is done.
Yeah, maybe we can get you can get her to come on sometime. If you go talk to her.
I suppose we could.
Well, Jenny, you can always extend her an invite if you happen to be seeing her on TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't know her at all. I would
But
have to be introduced or introduce myself over time. And
Yeah. Then again, we also have a tiny channel. It's not like
Yeah.
our audience is going to have a big impact on anyone.
Let's see here. France has issued a similar medal since 1920, but the idea really picked up steam when Adolf Hitler first confirmed a similar honor on German and mothers of eight or more children in 1939, calling it the Cross of Honor of the German mother. Naturally, Jews were not among the 3 million women who received the medal between 1939 and 1944. The fastest Soviet Union leader, Joseph Stalin, followed suit, offering a similar medal in 1944. The highest honor went to mothers of 9 or more children, and the mothers of 7 and 8 children were also recognized. Since then, the Motherhood Medal has been especially popular in authoritarian regimes the world over, including the Hungarian, yada yada, in Russia. So.
Yeah.
And it gets into what we were just talking about with Elon Musk and his 14 kids.
Are there any democracies that do that?
Doesn't?
I don't think so. And I had also heard a proposal that they were going to give like a $5,000 cash incentive for each child a woman has before she turns 20.
Yeah, except that it costs about $20,000 to birth a baby.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I was.
Why would you
that
want that
isn't
bad
nearly-
deal?
Yeah, not nearly enough. But the thing that struck me about though that they're trying to get women to have several kids before they're 20.
Well, France was a democracy in the 1920s, so
Yeah, so it's like
that's one.
What age do they plan on starting them at is the part I'm finding concerning there. Hey, Beck.
Yes, if any democracies did that. Apparently France was a democracy in the 1920s when they did it.
Back.
So that's one, but it's primarily more of a authoritarian thing.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not even sure, how much a democracy France was, considering that, as Hitler rose to power, the French government, or at least significant elements of the French government sided with him. I mean, like Jenny said, you had the French resistance that the average citizens didn't like the idea. But many of the people higher up were cooperating.
Oh, you're always going to have collaborators. And you're always going to have people on the edge that float between loyalty and collaboration and try to play both sides of the fence. That's just human nature.
Well, that's why literally during World War II, France was literally fighting on both sides.
Mm.
Hey, Beck, if you want to pop in, just tell me where to drop you a link.
I'm just absolutely frightened by this law that they're pushing through. That's passed the House now and is on the way to the Senate. The SAFE Act.
Yeah.
You all heard about that. That's going to take away the right to vote for women, because they put a clause in there that says if your current driver's license and ID does not match your birth certificate, you may not vote.
Yep.
Take away like most women.
Doesn't matter if everything is legitimate and government issued. If your name is different, you're fucked. Now,
Yeah, and that's, we were trying to tell women before the election that the Republicans are going to try to take away your right to vote.
well, they just took away probably.
Yeah. And Trump still got, I don't know whether or not he got a majority of women voters, but he still got a pretty high percentage of them. I'm not sure what the numbers were.
Well, excuse me. I'll be right back.
I'll look that up really.
Well, that would affect the married women at least. A lot of them, at least.
Well, true. It also says for people like me and Perp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Not only will our last name not match, but our first name won't either.
Or anyone who's changed their name over the years, which is quite a lot of people.
Although I did hear that they've begun giving trans people passports again, or allowing them to apply for passports again, but not with the correct gender marker. But for a couple months there, it was you can't even apply for a passport because you're trans, which is that's real American.
Take the passport and get the hell out of here.
Yep.
Yeah, and it doesn't give me a number here. It does say that a majority of women supported Kamala Harris.
Support that law to be in force? I don't believe that for a second.
What?
No, they supported Harris.
Yeah, in the last election.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it does go on to say that white, non-college educated white women and evangelical women continued to be loyal base for Trump. So basically, whether or not women supported Trump was largely reflected their level of education. The more educated they were, the less likely they were to vote for Trump.
Trump loves the uneducated.
Yep. That's why he wanted to kill the Department of Education.
He has a bachelor's, but he didn't. He never actually attended school. He's just not smart enough. You can't. There's nothing about how that man behaves, talks, or writes that indicates that he's had anything beyond 11th grade.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's got, an honorary degree from somewhere, but yeah, I don't think he ever attended any classes.
Well, he had to there's some of his professors has commented what kind of student he was, which was an abysmal rating. But the man is just not only intellectually lazy, he's intellectually damaged.
Yeah.
And challenged.
Yeah, it's, he does speak on at most like a 5th grade level.
And which is why all his supporters like him, because he's no smarter than them.
Yep.
I kind of liked having somebody like Obama be in charge and knowing they're smarter than me.
Yeah, well, if somebody is in control of the largest military in the world, I would like to think that they are more educated than I am. Just that they have more to pull on to make those important decisions.
What I hope and what I don't expect to happen, but what I hope and wish would happen is that Americans would step back after this last 10 years or so and realize how foolish it is to put people who have zero experience in government in significant positions. That is just lunacy.
Yeah.
We all
It
know
would
what
be
it takes
nice
to
if
learn a
that was a
job.
lesson they learned, but
it's just nuts.
the fact that they voted for him again, proves they didn't learn anything from the first time he was in office.
That's for damn sure.
That's the thing that gets me. It's like, okay, the first time a lot of people got conned. The second time, I just can't believe that enough people fell for the con a second time for him to get in.
We call it a cult, right? So obviously that's
Yeah.
They never left him. He never stopped campaigning between the two elections.
Yeah. But it is a personality cult that, they are sure that he can do no wrong, even while they're seeing, their own farms going bankrupt and so forth, they're still willing to vote for him again.
Yeah. Well, they did an excellent job conning the country and to create this situation. It was even the people who knew it and would try to get people to listen couldn't, and that's why we're here. People knew how to not do this, but nobody wanted to listen.
Well, and the Republicans managed to call anyone who is speaking out against it fake news. And
I just read a little thing that came out of Trump where he's saying that people who disagree with him should be going to prison.
Yeah,
it's like what I was running into before, or with the pointing out how the whole Social Security thing isn't paying out to 150-year-olds, but they wouldn't believe me. They'd only believe what Elon Musk was telling them and what those were telling them.
Yeah, but what Jenny was saying is that Trump has openly said that he wants to send journalists to write bad articles about him down to that El Salvadoran death camp.
Yeah, and that's the scary part. They're not even talking about building camps here, but building them down there in such an awful environment to have to live in.
Yeah.
Well, somebody did offer.
Like I said, I'm surprised that the American companies that run the prisons here haven't made more of a fuss about that it's, undercutting their profits.
Well, he's doing a lot of things that are undercutting people's profits. It's only got the top 10 people in the world going to be profiting off of the crap he's doing.
Private prison firms, companies, whatever concerns, make huge money off of rent a prison.
Oh yeah.
And if you pay attention to a lot of the investors and names and bios of these people, a whole bunch of these rich fucks are prison owners, and they just love crime. They don't want to help anybody. They want to leave crime happening. They just won't tell you that.
Well, that's why they won't let marijuana be legalized on a federal level, because they want people to still be arrested for minor drug charges, and that they can, keep them in there for years and decades, and they can profit off of their labor.
That's one reason.
Oh. Well, we've been going almost exactly 2 hours. And Jenny and I were talking about being sleep deprived before we started, so I think it would be good to wrap up here.
I'm not going to sleep for days now with this coffee.
Stop injecting the coffee.
It's so good.
So, Mage, you had your new song was posted up. I don't know if that went as a regular video or as a short.
That was just a regular. I don't do shorts. I do all regular videos.
Okay.
So, yep, I got a new video up today on my channel, Mage's Media Musings. I do plan to do a Sunday show, which I postponed from last week on Superman. That's on Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern.
I like the episode where the huge robot became Superman. I think it was called The Iron Giant.
The Iron Giant. That is a good movie.
Oh God, I have to share this with you two, my friends in anime. I saw this game today advertised on Twitter. That I don't know the exact backstory of what you're trying to achieve in the game or anything like that, but it is littered with hot, sexy anime girls, and how you get to design your own and get them to do what you want them to do.
Well, now we know
like,
what it's about.
Fuck. Well, yeah. It's like, geez, how can?
Yeah,
It's a cartoon, dude.
I can quickly see that one becoming a bestseller.
Oh God.
Yeah, if you can customize the girls yourself, I can see that being a bestseller.
I almost downloaded it just to see how insane it is, but no, I don't even want that on my history. Just no, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, there was. Damn, I'll have to find it again. I really should get better about making notes.
Oh, I also heard. Oh no, damn it! It's about to slip out of my head. Blah, blah, blah. Fuck. It disappeared.
Sorry.
Oh, I now I remember. No, that was Jude. That was completely me. It just slipped. And I'm about to do it again. God damn it. What were we talking about? I'm sorry.
Anime girls was the last thing.
Something about cute anime girls that you can customize and get them to do whatever you want.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Where does that connect here?
Yeah, you were telling us about some game you found that you could do that with.
Yeah. But there was something that triggered something else in my damaged brain.
Yeah, branched off in some other direction.
Squirrel.
Ruff, ruff. God, I love that movie.
And just the first few minutes of it could have been an entire short.
Oh, it turned me into a bag of rubber. The first time I saw that, I was shocked that a cartoon could make me feel as strongly as I did in those scenes. There was just amazing.
There was a lot of emotion in there. Yeah. You say, especially the beginning part about his wife.
Yeah, well, that's the first part.
Yeah.
It's all their backstory. And today is was it today? Anniversary of Prince's death. I've seen a few videos today of him. Various renditions of Purple Rain. He's got some renditions that go 6, 7, 8 minutes instead of the 2.5 for the radio.
I was never a fan of him.
A couple days ago, but it's pretty close. Died on April 21st.
Okay. Mage, did you have anything else you wanted to plug before we go?
Let's see, I covered the Sunday show, covered the new video.
Yeah, were you going to be having, some other kinds of discussions with the Theta group?
I haven't heard anything from them. I'm waiting to hear back on their phenomena file things that they keep inconsistently doing.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about, was when you were gonna be on one of those with him. I'd like to see how
Yeah.
that goes.
I'm kind of wondering. The next one's supposed to be on SCPs.
SEP or SCP?
SCP.
Oh, okay.
Secure, Contain, Protect. It's started as a 4chan thing, and they started doing like a creepypasta on 4chan.
What are you
Yeah,
guys talking about?
SCPs.
What's that?
Basically, they're like a fake government documents on horror creatures.
Yeah. I
It's
found a channel that just has loads of those. I've kind of been going through them. Some
Yeah,
of them
they're
are pretty
fun.
interesting.
So we picked out some of our favorites, and we're gonna read them for the show.
Some of them are aliens. Some of them are just weird phenomena that the government is trying to hide.
Or contain, secure, contain,
Yeah.
protect. Keep it.
Could you share one or two?
Well, one of
Just to
them I
get an
ran
idea.
across was fun because of just how bureaucracies operate. That it was about the forms that just mysteriously appear, and if somebody doesn't fill out the form or doesn't fill it out properly, it then generates more forms. And for every time a deadline is missed or it is filled out improperly, it keeps expanding the questions exponentially.
They're all different too. So it's not just because if you heard one doesn't mean you've heard them all.
Yeah, some of them are just like alien creatures that they've trapped.
Uh-huh.
They're-
And what's his website?
SCP Foundation.
S Sam C Candle P
P.
PP.
Paul.
PP.
Yeah.
That.
I'll send you a link for the channel I found later,
Okay.
Jenny. I'll have to
Okay.
look it up. But yeah, I've just been, through this one channel, just picking ones at random, and some of them are funny, some of them are creepy.
There, I put it in the MidAmerican in DM group.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I've been looking at those and thinking that, I'm trying to come up with a very original idea that I might try writing one of those myself. Oh, and Jenny's got more cute pictures. Talk about cute girls. Yeah.
I in a fit of organization. It is a disease, I decided it was time to organize all my trans memes, support articles, technical information, all the stuff that's on your phone that you've been, following a particular subject with, and copying. I have 700 fucking documents. I have to go through and decide what's worth keeping and not.
Yeah. Well,
700.
Oh
yes, I remembered. Excellent. That made me remember. Did you hear that this year, last year there were 500-600 laws under discussion in the various states, in 49 states to be actually, and the only state that did not produce any anti-trans laws is, see if you can guess. Anyways, there's over 700 new laws that are being proposed in 49 different states now. This is, that's a conglomerate money or money amount. 700 plus, that's.
I'm gonna say the only state that didn't have any was Hawaii.
Only 700. Why do you feel so like this is targeting you guys or something?
Yeah. Hey.
Well, it's a conspiracy, 700 bills, the 700 Club, it's all the evangelicals.
Ooh, it's the number 7. That's the problem.
Yes, the problem is if there are more than 7 evangelicals in the world, they're going to try to push crazy shit into law.
Evangelicals. Got to use that word. We got to make it catch because it's so true and so fucking accurate.
Okay, well, I don't have anything interesting other than we will be back here again the same time next week. And of course, we need to thank our contributors, Kitty the Atheist, Robert X, Greg Hartwick, Sandy Shore, Skitzcrasher, A Very Stable Milking Stool, Regios, and Junie.
Stool's got one of my favorite internet names.
Yep.
It is just so silly. I love it. How did we ever get to know Stool? Does anybody remember how that happened?
I'm not quite sure. You know, it's been so long now, it's kind of like he's always been there.
Oh, yeah. No, I give
So-
guys invite to my Discord there too. You can do my come into my midnight shows tomorrow.
Oh, yep. Yeah, we're still going through Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yep, we're about a little. I think we're a little over halfway through now.
Okay, yep.
Somewhere around the halfway point.
Oh, so we go to Discord tomorrow?
No, it's just my group where I post the stuff and I post them in the DM group and I post them in that group too. So
Your stuff. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Mage is just putting the Discord up for people who don't want to use Twitter anymore, so they can get the link there.
Yep, you can get the link in my Discord in the announcements.
Okay. So we would bid you all a good day, a good night, a good evening, a good morning, whatever part of the world you happen to be in.
A good ado and a good a don't.
Bye bye all.
Don't get
Later.
caught.